Have you ever wondered whether the most powerful rulers in the world really only got their power from bloodline, war, and wealth? In some long-lost palace cellars, in ancient codes that have never been exposed, there is a source of power that has been deliberately forgotten. A contract, a pledge not written on paper, but exchanged with blood, names, and souls. Legend has it that the kings who built the pyramids, the kings who launched the Crusades, and even the powerful groups that are still at the top today, they once shook hands with some invisible existence in the middle of the night when no one was watching. Not with God, but with the devil. Examples: Phoenician sacrificial rituals, Solomon's seal, Victorian secret summons manuscripts. From ancient Babylon to Jerusalem, from Troy to Paris, from the Golden Crown to the Bloody Seal, power is never free. And this hidden path is called the Blood of the Covenant. On the coast of Lebanon, ruins in the sun, ancient stone statues looming among the ruins. In 1200 BC, the Phoenicians built one of the most prosperous trading empires in ancient times. They have no unified king, but they have a common core of faith: Moloch, a huge bronze god with flames burning in his mouth and arms outstretched, as if always waiting for gifts. This gift is not gold, silver, or treasures, but the blood of a child. Historians still debate whether this is just a vilification of later enemies. But in the large number of Tophet cemeteries unearthed at the site of Carthage, archaeologists have found thousands of infant skeletons neatly buried behind altars, with charcoal and animal remains among the bones. Is this a religion or a naked transaction? The rulers of ancient Phoenicia believed that every time they offered the sons of nobles, Moloch would reward them: good weather, retreat of enemies, and wealth. This was not a plea but an agreement, a contract signed with royal blood, dominance in exchange for sacrifice. When Phoenician merchants spread spices, tin ore, and glass-blowing technology throughout the Mediterranean, they also brought this contractual thought to Egypt, Greece, and even Rome. Some scholars point out that the human sacrifice tradition of ancient Rome was not native, but a variation of Phoenician doctrine. In the political system, members of the Phoenician Council of Elders would regularly hold closed ceremonies that were not open to the public and not even recorded in writing. The only thing left was a recurring symbol in the hieroglyphics: a drop of blood and an eye. A drop of blood, an eye. It seems to imply once the contract is signed, you are under surveillance forever. And just as the Phoenician Empire declined, a new overlord rose in the east. They did not forget the secrets of Phoenicia, but instead pushed the devil's deal to a more extreme ritualized form. Image, chariots, and winged gods from Assyrian reliefs emerge from the shadows, and the camera slowly moves in on the ruins of the ancient city of Nineveh. In the 9th century BC, the Assyrian Empire conquered the entire Mesopotamian region with iron and blood. But this territory was not taken by force alone. In the secret room of the Assyrian palace, there was a black ritual hidden by the royal family called the Eye of Lamashtu. Lamashtu was not a god, but a half-human, half-beast demon wrapped in fear and curse. In later demonology, it was seen as a being that could devour lives and sow disasters. The Assyrian king did not avoid her, but actively summoned her. According to the Assyrian king list, on the eve of his accession to the throne, Assyrian king Ashur-nasir-pal II was required to go alone to the underground ceremonial room on the north side of the palace, where he would not eat for 7 days and 7 nights, and only drink juice mixed with 3 kinds of blood. On the 7th night, he must stand on the basalt ground with the 7 stars engraved on it, and swear the following oath: I awaken the ancient watcher with the blood of my ancestors and my own name. I exchange my love for my power, and my life for my blade. This is not symbolic language. The Assyrian king's younger brother, second son, and even the queen all mysteriously disappeared during the turbulent years of reign, and the new king then ushered in unprecedented victory and obedience. The expansion of the Assyrian Empire relied not only on military force, but also on a contract with invisible forces. The price was the blood and soul oaths of closest relatives. Archaeologists once discovered fragments of a mural in a secret room in the Nineveh palace. The mural depicted a king kneeling in the center of a fire circle, holding a small human-shaped doll in his hand, with two ritual executors wearing eagle-head masks standing beside him. These eagle-headed men are very similar to the later image of Horus in ancient Egypt. The obsidian lot mentioned in the ritual is frequently mentioned in Assyrian documents unearthed in Iraq today. The lot is born of royal blood and dies by the kiss of Lamashtu. The reign of the king of Assyria lasted 100 years, but each successor was not allowed to die a natural death. After the collapse of the Assyrian dynasty, a more complex contract system was born in the West. It was a ruler known as the King of Wisdom. He did not use blood as a medium, but used wisdom and summons to conclude another type of rule contract. King Solomon is the embodiment of wisdom and a wise king in the Bible. But outside the Orthodox scriptures, there is another hidden version. He is not just a wise man who governs the country, but a summoner who has signed a contract with 72 spirits of hell. This legend first appeared in a medieval banned book, the Lemegeton, which describes that Solomon, with God's permission, summoned and enslaved 72 demons from hell and ordered them to build the Temple of Jerusalem. It is said that each demon possesses a certain human desire: wealth, victory in war, love, longevity, predicting the future, invisibility, and even the ability to control the minds of the people. The deal Solomon made with them was not based on divine power alone, but on the seal. This is the Seal of Solomon, a complex symbol combining a star, a spell, and a mirror, which was later evolved into the famous hexagram. It is both a prisoner and a seal of contract. The six-pointed star pattern on the ancient stone tablet is very similar to the modern Israeli flag. Solomon is said to have controlled these demons in his secret chamber with a bronze ring to make them obey his orders. But this was not a free slavery. According to legend, he had to write a vow to hell every night for 72 days. The content was, "I promise not to reject darkness with light, not to reject desire with truth, to exchange wisdom for order, and to exchange solitude for empire." This form of oath is exactly the same as the Crossroads Covenant in later generations. The difference is, Solomon did not do it for the soul, but to build the abode of God, and this may be the most hidden price. There is a saying that he was eventually devoured by his own servants, because there is no real master-servant relationship between magic and power. The wise founder of a dynasty may also be the first person to open the gates of hell. Next, we will turn our attention to the dark Middle Ages and see how those kings and knights who confronted the church and signed secret contracts in wilderness monasteries continued this contract tradition. The Middle Ages was an era of faith and fear. On the one hand, the church claimed that everything is controlled by God. But on the other hand, many kings quietly went into forests, monasteries, and abandoned bunkers late at night to hold some kind of coronation ceremony that could not be recognized by the church. The most famous of these ceremonies is the contract with the Duke of Hell. This is a 15th century painting depicting a contract with the devil, with the noble kneeling and exchanging scrolls with the winged creature. In 1348, the Black Death ravaged Europe. King Philip VI of France was said to have made a contract with a demon named Bune in a secret monastery on the banks of the Loire River. According to the Ars Goetia, Bune is the Duke of Hell who controls wealth, buried things, and persuasion, and can make the dead speak and turn crying into laughter. That night, the king left only 4 words, which were recorded on the inscription in the monastery tomb at that time. "I will use my descendants' hearts to exchange for the safety of my people. I will use my glorious blood to exchange for the immortality of the dynasty. You may not take me away, but you may take my name." The last line of the inscription reads, "The covenant has been made, and I will keep it." Not only in France, but also in Germany, a coronation ceremony called the Grey Robe Ceremony was carried out in secret. According to an unpublished manuscript in the Dresden Church Library, several electors of the Holy Roman Empire would bring the candidates to the Black Hall, Schwarze Halle, when the throne was transferred and swear the following oath. I am not a king from heaven, but a king from darkness. These black halls are located below churches or in remote mountains and forests. Participants must wear plain black robes, stand barefoot, and hold a blood-quilled pen. It is said that the person being signed will never show up, and the contract is only confirmed by the 7-word echo that emerges in the firelight. In such a ceremony, a king does not accept a coronation, but completes an exchange. He no longer uses military force or an alliance of nobles, but the promise and blessing of a dark world. Has the true source of royal power been separated from the human world? When all this was covered up by burning at the stake, heresy and trial, history ushered in the enlightenment of the light of reason. But under this light, some people still whispered in the dark. From Napoleon to Hitler, from Metternich to Hermann Göring, were they also involved in another midnight contract? The turning points of history often do not take place on a battlefield, but happen quietly at midnight with no witnesses. How did Napoleon Bonaparte, an artillery officer from Corsica, sweep across Europe and become emperor in just a few years? Some say he relied on his military talent, but other secret files point to a more bizarre answer. In 1801, Napoleon led his army into Egypt, ostensibly for strategic control, but spent several days in the ruins of the underground Giza Plateau, according to the diary of French officer Antoine Denis Rambaud. The general entered the pyramids alone on night, and no one approached him for 3 hours. When he came out, he was pale and trembling, and said only one sentence: "You will never believe what I saw." After that, Napoleon's personality changed. He began to frequently read books related to alchemy and summons, and even created the Imperial Summoning Society, a secret organization composed of 12 secret agents dedicated to collecting ancient secrets and books. One of the manuscripts, La Clé de l'Ombre, the Key of Shadows, details a ritual to summon an entity whose name is obfuscated as Le Veilleur de Minuit, the Night Watcher. The Midnight Summoner is neither a demon nor an angel, but an entity that wanders in time. It does not appear, but can whisper in the ear of the signatory. Did Napoleon really sign a contract? No one knows. But on the eve of his exile to St. Helena, he said to his personal aide, "I have used that key twice, but I dare not use it a third time." More than 100 years later, another figure of the Midnight Contract reappeared: Adolf Hitler. This ordinary painter was in despair in 1919, but he quickly gathered followers, organized a political party, and took control of the army. The Nazi emblem, the hook cross, is an ancient sun symbol, but in their hands, it became a spell of summoning and changing fate. In his early years in Vienna, Hitler met the mystical group Thule Society, whose members firmly believed that blood can awaken the power sleeping underground. There was a black book in the secret meetings of the Thule Society called Dream Notes, which was said to record the process of signing contracts with 4 ancient spirits. It is unknown whether Hitler read the book, but after the failed beer hall putsch in 1923 and his imprisonment, he claimed that he had a dream in prison in which a blind woman handed him a book with the words Third Reich written on it. This word had never appeared in German historical documents before. Power is not just made up of swords and thrones, it is also hidden behind a badge, a crown, a signet ring, those symbols. But have you ever noticed what kind of language is hidden in these symbols? Some people say that badges are the face of civilization. However, some researchers believe that in the history of monarchy, badges are actually signatures of signatories. The ancient Brython king, King Wotan, claimed that he saw a blood-red dragon in his dream, which told him how to defeat the invaders. From then on, the red dragon became the symbol of the Welsh kingship and was later inherited by the Tudor dynasty. This red dragon does not belong to the Christian tradition, but is closer to the snake god Mushushu in Sumerian and Canaanite mythology, which represents chaos and fire. It is the guardian of the wisdom of the underworld, and was once a symbol of the gate to the world of knowledge. In the 18th century mystical manuscript Codex Hermeticum, the double-headed eagle is often accompanied by a string of ancient Latin words, unum cor, duo pacta, one heart, two deeds. Human body with lion head and return of the judge. Another symbol that is often overlooked is the human body with lion head, such as the Sphinx in ancient Egypt and the lion man pattern of the early British royal family. In the Key of Solomon, the lion-headed human body represents Marbas, the fifth demon god in charge of law, life and death among the 72 spirits of hell. It is said that he can reveal hidden truths, control diseases, and grant the ability to transform. The British royal emblem features 3 lions in a row, known as beasts of war. But in early versions, the lion's head was mixed with a human face, with a forked tongue and eyes without pupils, which fits the description of Marbas in the demonic guide. You may not have noticed the 3-pronged symbol on the scepter. Many royal scepters have a 3-pronged design on the top, or called a 3-leaf scepter. In medieval magic symbols, this 3-pronged is often used to mark a completed contract process. Will, sacrifice, manifestation. When you see a king holding up his scepter, what you see is not only the symbol of the ruler, but perhaps also the proof of the power he has exchanged. From coats of arms to crowns, kings use reputation as a curtain, but may sacrifice their souls. This is not a question of mythology, but a question of whether we understand the visual language of power. Is all this still going on? After entering modern society, are those contractors who no longer appear in the temples and thrones hiding in the world of politics, business, and entertainment with new faces? In today's world dominated by technology and rationality, do you think that these ancient contract rituals have long become a thing of the past? But perhaps they have just changed their faces. They are no longer signed in blood, but completed with code words, patterns, and power structures. A secret gathering at the core of power. In 1972, in a private woodland called Bohemian Grove in California, USA, hundreds of elites from the political, business, and intelligence circles gathered. They held a bizarre event in the woods called the Cremation of Care. In front of a huge owl statue, a priest in robes set a doll symbolizing human conscience on fire to release the burden and enter a ruling mentality of pure rationality. This is not only a psychological ritual, but also a baptism, removing humanity and paving the way for domination. Can you say this is not a signing? The price is the transformation from blood and soul to the erasure of emotions and empathy. A new model of soul exchange, data, and power. Today's contract signing may no longer require real demons. This is because we have created an exchange mechanism that is more effective than the demon, the algorithm. You click a button and sell your behavior data. You agree to an agreement and give up your image rights. You register with an identity and input all your desires. The few who control data, traffic, and cognitive paths behind the scenes have become the kings of the new era. You didn't donate blood, but you donated who you are. Are we also signing some kind of contract, but we are just not aware of it? The essence of a contract is never the form, but the exchange. You give something you can't take back in exchange for something you desire but don't really have. From the Phoenician flaming idols to the blood sacrifice rituals of the Assyrian kings, from Solomon's seal of hell to the medieval king's jungle contracts, to the anonymous data interactions, visual totems, and secret rituals of the modern world. The signers never left. Their forms changed, their tools changed, but what they sought remained the same. Power, control, domination beyond the limits of mortal man. In this era, we laugh at the ancients for worshiping demons, but in each agreement and compromise, we sign more invisible contracts. Contracts are not always explicit. They can be submission to power, the pursuit of wealth, the desire to be recognized, the urge to control others, and every exchange may be a signature. Are you willing to sign your name? This question is not just a question for ancient kings, demon worshippers, conspirators, or the elite. It is a question for you, yourself. When you stand at the crossroads of life facing temptation, power, choice, and price, have you realized, what are you writing? What are you exchanging? Have you signed? The blood of the contract is still flowing, but whose turn is it to sign? If this video makes you think, shocked, or resonates, please like it and share it with people you trust. Leave a message in the comment area. What form do you think contracts in modern society will take? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we will reveal the next secret soon.